All right, we've got sound, and now you've got me. Hey, so something a little bit different for me. I usually don't go live on Tuesday nights, and I don't know that I've ever been live on YouTube. So here I am. What am I doing tonight? Tonight, I'm going to make a ring. Well, I'm going to start making a ring out of carbon fiber and Amboyna burl. Um, I'm going to show you what I'm working with. Um, this is carbon fiber tube. It's got the 3K weave all the way through it. I don't know how well you can see that, how well it's in focus, but I like the look of this particular style of carbon fiber because it looks like it's wavy when it's finished. Um, I get that from fatcat.net. I have somewhere some, what you call it, denatured alcohol. I had it last night for my Facebook Live, and it disappeared. I was going to show you the color on this Amboyna. You know, I cleaned my shop, and now I can't find anything. It's really weird that I can't find that denatured alcohol because I use that all the time. There it is, right where I left it, on the right side of my lathe instead of the left. So there's the Amboyna that I'm going to use. Real pretty stuff. I haven't completely decided on the style that I'm going to do, but I know this is going to be part of it, and I think that's going to be pretty amazing. But yeah, here's the rest of the block, just in case anybody wants to take a gander. Real pretty stuff. This is a custom ring for a friend of mine that's actually watching the live right now. So I look forward to getting this done and getting it shipped out to him. He made me a pen, which I just saw pictures of it, and it's pretty. If you're looking for custom pens, go to Tank's Custom Pens on Facebook. If you're looking for custom rings, talk to me, because I do that. So yeah, carbon fiber, Amboyna. I'm gonna start tonight making the carbon fiber band. I might, yeah, I'll get to the point where I glue up the Amboyna onto the carbon fiber, and then I'm gonna let it sit overnight, and I'm gonna come back for part 2 tomorrow and finish it up. So I'm gonna start with carbon fiber because that's gonna be my band or my ring core. And all I'm gonna do is mount it in my pen jaws, and I'm gonna use my detail cutter, carbide cutter to get this going. Now, anytime you work with carbon fiber, you want to make sure you're wearing a mask because getting this stuff in your lungs is no good. So do that. You probably won't see me with my mask on because I'll take it off to talk, and I'll take it off when the camera changes. But just know that just like my beard's not getting caught in the lathe, I'm being safe. Alright, first thing I want to do is make sure this end is flat. It's not. So I'm going to square that off with a square carbide cutter. This one's sharp, so I'll use it. Alright, so that's flat. I would just lay my tool across the front, look for gaps. There's none there. So let's go ahead and get this moving here. Alright, so we're getting close. I'm going to take a quick measurement because this guy's got huge fingers. This is going to be a size 13.5 ring. For a size 13.5 ring, the inside diameter needs to be 22.6 millimeters. This is a 28 millimeter rod, so I've got room to work. So it'll be what, roughly 2 millimeters thick when it's done on each side, roughly. So that's as far down as I'm going to use the carbide, and I'm going to start in with my boring head. Nice thing about this rod is it's already got a hole in the center to get you started. Now you want to make sure this is sharp. I just use a quick little diamond card, and I'll probably have to sharpen it at least midway through, if not a third of the way through, because this carbon fiber is tough stuff. Now I can see comments and all that. If you want to ask questions along the way, feel free. I'll do my best to answer them. I'll switch cameras for you here. Not that one, that one. So now you can see the boring head a little bit better. I've got a long ways to go, so I'm going to be fairly aggressive with this. And I know that I'm going to come almost all the way out to the edge on this. So I'm going to start cutting. Now each turn of that dial is about a millimeter. So I'm going 2 millimeters at a time. I'm going to stop and double check it just to be sure, because I don't want to overshoot this. Yeah, I'm at 17.1 right now, and I still need to go to 22.6 for those giant sausage fingers. I thought that might happen. That's all right though. I went too deep on the parting, but I should be close. So I'll check it. Yeah, I'm at 20.6 right now, 20.8. So I still need to go another 2 millimeters. So I'll just chuck this up and take the last little bit away. But I'm going to let this cool for a second so that it doesn't delaminate, because that can happen. I did get a little aggressive with that. Don't get aggressive with your carbon fiber. Now, out of curiosity, because I just eyeballed this, I want to see how wide it is. So right now it's 10.3 millimeters. I was kind of shooting for about 10 millimeters wide. I figured with the, bigger finger, a wider band would probably be the better way to go. So yeah, we're at 10.5 millimeters right now. I'll probably lose another half a millimeter or so with, flattening out and shaping and all that fun stuff. So that will be okay. Now, since I do have one flat side here, and this side's not exactly flat from parting it off, I'm going to put the not flat side facing out so that I can go ahead and flatten that off and start to finish that side out. Looks like I lined it up pretty good, so we're square there. Always a good thing. There we go. I'm going to go about a half turn at a time. I don't know if you heard me just then. I'm going to go about a half turn at a time until I get down to my final size. Right now, though, I'm going to sharpen my cutter. Because that carbon fiber did eat it up. I'm just making sure that the file is flat against that as I go. Super easy to touch that up. I wanted to mention too, if you feel like it, go ahead and share this out. The more the merrier, friends. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer. Now what I'm doing, I know it looks like I'm not making any adjustments as I go, but I'm actually giving a little more pressure down on the boring head with each pass, and it takes off just a tiny little bit because it's not perfectly tight in there. All right, so I'm at 21.3 right now. So I still need to go to 22.6. So another millimeter. I'm not going to go a full millimeter on this. I'm going to go 3/4 of a turn and check it again. Hear that chatter a little bit. That's another reason I'm going back over it again. Make sure it's a good clean cut. All right, get the calipers back out. I should be a lot closer. .22. All right, so I need another 1/2 millimeter. Now, I'm going to be doing some sanding. I'm not going to rely on the sanding to get me all the way there, so I'm going to do a 1/4 turn, which is roughly a 1/4 millimeter, and I'll sand the rest. All right, so I should be close enough to finish getting my size with sandpaper. So let's check. 22.3. I'll call 0.3 millimeters good enough. So I'm going to pull the boring head out of the way for now. And I don't know, can you see that patterning in there? Before I go any further, though, I am going to get my dust collector turned on and suck up some of this dust. In a perfect world, I would have that running the whole time, and normally I would, but you wouldn't be able to hear me, so that's why it's not running the whole time right now. All right, so real quick, I'm going to flatten off this face, and it's just shy of my jaws, so I need to be careful getting in there. Lock everything in. All right, so that's good and flat. Let's see how wide this is, just out of curiosity. 3.5 millimeters, 3.5, almost exactly. That was right between 3.5 and 3.6, depending on how tight I squeeze the calipers. But pretty decent thickness for a ring. And what am I gonna do here? See, I'm plotting and scheming. I'm building this thing as I'm going, which I do a lot of times. My buddy he asked me today. He's like, "Man, I've always wanted one of your rings." So I was like, "Hey, how about a carbon fiber and Amboyna?" He's like, "Yep, sounds good to me." So I haven't worked with carbon fiber in a while, so that's kind of why I thought to give that a go. It's fun. All right, so what do I want to do first? Because I have an idea. I think, yep, that's the angle. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Where am I? There I am. I'm going to use the boring head for the outside of the ring as well. Okay. Yep. All right. Let's go back here. Because what I'm going to do, I'll show you. Is I'm going to take just past half back, and I'm going to step it down about a millimeter and a half, and I'm going to make the Amboyna level with the carbon fiber, because I want to leave some of that carbon fiber showing on the outside, but I want to give a good bit of the Amboyna in there too. So I'm going to chuck this up right at the edge. Make sure I get it in there square. I wonder if this is wide enough where I can get my jaws inside. I don't think so. No. I could pull out one of my my ring mandrels and do it with that, but the ring mandrel I would need to use to do this doesn't run true anymore because I've stretched it and I've over tightened it and all that, so I don't trust it. Am I going there? Let's see how that's spinning. Just kind of tapping it into place. Now it's running true. Cool. All right. Except I don't like how far in it is. I'm going to grab the edge a little more. So I have to do that again. Right at the edge. I also don't want to put so much pressure on it that I crack the carbon fiber. No, that's not square at all. All I'm doing is looking past it and looking at the edge, in case you're wondering how the heck I'm getting this sorted out. That, my friends, is right where I need to be. So I'm going to tighten that down just a touch more. And I'm going to take light bites on this carbon fiber because I don't want to push it all the way back in. So I'm going to take a look and see if I can get this boring head up high enough. I don't think I'm going to. I might have to do my little outside diameter boring head trick, but we'll see. That is definitely not far enough. All right, so if you've got your boring head and it's not going up high enough to reach the outside diameter that you want, if your lathe has a reverse function, you're in luck because there's a way to cheat it. And you could go out and, you know, buy a backwards cutter. That's possible, I'm sure. Or you get a straight cutter and go that route. Come on, let it go. That's one thing about this particular boring head is these bits like to stay stuck in there. All right. So what I'm doing, I had it with the cut with the sharp side down. All I'm doing is I'm rotating it sharp side up. And apparently I lost my grub screw for that hole. So I'm going to steal it out of this one because I don't use that one. And I'll find the grub screw later and replace it. Screw that one in a little bit so it doesn't run away. Like all the way. Alright. So cutter's facing straight up. I'm going to just tighten that down a little bit. Make sure it's snug. I'm going to come up a little closer. And I'm going to bring it down. So now I can get to the outside diameter just fine. And again, I'm reversing the lathe because now my cutting edge, if I ran it that way, it would just glance off, but now it's actually going to cut. Alright, I am down a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit more. I'm going to do a 1/2 millimeter more. So, there. So I don't want it too thin in here. But I don't want the top. Actually, let me get a measurement to see where we are. I'm at 25.3. That's 28.1. Yeah, I'm going to back that down just a 1/4 of a millimeter from where I had my cut planned. And that'll be the last cut with this. All right. Again, I'm going to get my sucker out. Get rid of some of this dust. Alright, so I didn't get a perfect edge on that because I was a little shy with running the boring head all the way up to the chuck. So I'm going to just come in with my detail tool and I'm going to clean up that edge a little bit because there's a couple little places where it could benefit a quick scrape. Except I got to turn my lathe back around. Okay. Now, pull this out, see if I can get you a decent close-up shot of what I've got. Yeah, that's going to look good. There we go. So here's what I've got so far. Carbon fiber ring blank. Just over half of it's going to be Amboyna. That's too close. You can see that carbon fiber kind of shining. Once that's sanded and polished, that's going to absolutely glow in the sun. Beautiful stuff. So yeah, this side will be Amboyna. This side will be carbon fiber. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to shape the inside for a comfort fit. Is that right? That feels... Let me double check my measurements here. 22.1, okay. And I need to go to 22.6. So I'll sand out that last ½ millimeter. Fun fact, there is 0.4 millimeter difference between a whole size and a half size. So 13 is a 22.2, 13 and a half is 22.6 inside diameter. So right now I'm at a perfect size 13. So I need to go just a little bit wider on the inside. But again, sandpaper is going to handle that. All right. Let's look at the Amboyna again. Where'd I put that? Where'd I put it? Here's the big chunk. Here's the one I'm working with. All right, so I need to change chucks. And I'm going to have to reorient my my cutter head on the, the boring head. So let me get this chuck out of here first. And yes, this is my camera, and this is a camera. It's in the way, but I wanted to be able to get you guys the angles to show you what's going on. If you don't have two chucks, that's okay. You can just switch your jaws out. Alright. This is just 50 millimeter jaws. This Amboyna is 1.5 by 1.5. You'll find most of your bottle stopper blanks in that size. So if you're looking to make rings, get bottle stopper blanks. It's a good alternative to just a regular, what's called a ring blank, because they're going to be anywhere from 3/8, ½ inch thick, somewhere in there, if you buy a ring blank. But you get a bottle stopper blank and you can make 7 or 12 rings out of it. Now, what I've done, you might notice in there, there's a piece of 1/4 inch MDF. And I'm actually, how thick is this? So I'm just there on the thinnest part of my Amboyna, because no, I didn't cut it square. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get a little thicker piece. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to stick that in there, clean side out. Now I've got a good flat side, and I've got one side that's got saw marks and all that. So I'm going to use my good flat side against that 1/4 inch piece of MDF. I'm going to find my chuck key. And you'll notice fits perfect right in those jaws. So 50mm jaws, 1.5" by 1.5" square piece of stock. You're ready to start turning rings. Now, first thing I'm going to do is square that off, yeah. Alright, that should be just about where I want it. And first thing I'm going to do is drill a starter hole in there. I've got a Forstner bit for that. That's still sharp, so we're good there. Turn the speed down a little bit. Run a quick starter hole. If you've never worked with Amboyna, try it. Not only is it extremely beautiful, but it smells really good when you're working with it. It smells sweet. Alright, so again, I need to switch out this boring head. So you see, this is how I was oriented just now. I had the cutter facing up. I was in the bottom hole. I'm going to move it up to the center hole, and I'm going to reverse the direction of that cutter head. Back this grub screw out enough to get it in there. I'm going to tighten this one down, make sure I don't lose it. And I'm going to put this in so I can orient it properly, because I want to make sure that's straight down, or as straight down as I can get it by eye. Basically want it in line with the direction of travel. So I'm looking down the side of the boring head and looking where the cutter's oriented. So close enough there. Get my tool rest out of the way. Well, there's a couple people in watching. Anybody have any questions or comments or anything while I'm tooling around on this stuff? I'm going to get a drink real quick. All right. Looks like I've got about a millimeter overlap there. So I'm going to start cutting. Turn my speed back up. We're ready to roll. Smells so good. I'm putting my stuff in dumb places I can't find. That's not it. Go back. Millimeter. Cut. I tend not to get too aggressive with my cuts just because I don't want the Amboyna or any other material just to fail on me. I have no idea how wide that is. So I'm going to check. I'm shooting for 25.2. I've got a ways to go. I'm at 21.4. So I got about 4 millimeters to go. So I'll do another one. I'll do 2 more cuts and then I'll check it again. Check my size. Anytime I check my size, I always make sure it's zeroed out because I've set the calipers down on the bed of the lathe, and whatever interference, electromagnetic interference came off the lathe has scrambled my calipers. So I don't trust them anymore until I've zeroed it out. So I'm at 23.1 right now. I need to be at 25.2. So I still need what, another 2 millimeters? Yeah, roughly 2 millimeters. So I'm going to do another full millimeter. And then a half. And then I'll check it again. Check it again. Make sure I'm zeroed. 24.5. Then I need to go to 25.2. So I'm going to do another quarter turn. And then I'm not going to rely on the measurement anymore. I'm actually going to test fit from here out. Because now I know I'm getting really close. I'll do another quarter turn. It's right there. If I pushed hard, I'd probably get it in there, but I don't want that. So I'm going to go another quarter turn. Oh, not quite. That would be a good friction fit, but I want to give it just a little bit of room for some glue in there. So just, yeah, we'll go another quarter turn. Oh, there's a really pretty knot down there. I don't know if you can see the color difference, but that is going to be really nice. All right, so now we've got a good fit. It just wiggles, like I would guess an eighth or a 16th of a millimeter, which is going to be just fine for getting some glue in there, making sure we get a good tight bond. All right, so I'm going to get the boring head out of the way. We're almost to the end of this episode, if you will. I'm going to do the rest of it tomorrow because I want to give this glue a good chance to set up overnight, because I have been known in the past to jump the gun and have glue joints fail on me because I wasn't patient enough. All right, so I'll switch cameras here. So you can see there's a pretty darn good fit. Now, I use the boring head because, well, it gives me dead straight lines. So I know for sure those are going to line up perfect. I'm just looking at the back side, make sure there's no gaps. Looks like I got the connection flat there. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll switch you back over there. It's easier to see. I'm going to take some denatured alcohol and I'm going to clean up both surfaces. Got my little piece of wax paper here. And actually, I'm going to set it up here and go top down. Yeah. All right. So we've got those. And I'll get some paper towel, or shop towel. I'm going to start with the Amboyna. Just clean out any dust. Get a little preview of the grain. Oh, that's going to be pretty. That is going to be pretty. And then I'm just going to wipe this down. Again, I'm just making sure there's no dust, no oils, nothing that's going to interfere with the CA getting a good bite on it. I'm also going through and picking off paper towel pieces. All right, so I've got that. That's clean. This is clean on the inside. Now, I need some thin CA. Here, I'll flip back over to this camera. There. Just because it's hard to work under this one and keep things where it needs to be. So I'm just using out of focus glue. Mercury thin flex. I like using the flex because it does move a little bit if it gets bumped. And right now I'm using the thin because I want to make sure that it soaks in a little bit to the wood around before I make my final glue joint. And I wish you could see what I can see right now because I'm looking at the grains. And let me see if this other camera will show it. That is gorgeous. And I'm gluing myself to this blank at this point. All right. So I've got my thin CA. I'm going to let that sit and soak in for just a half a second. And then I'm going to come in with my medium CA. I joke around and I say this is like poor man's stabilization. So I know this Amboyna is not stabilized. So this it'll offer a little bit of stabilization to the wood. It'll end up being coated in a UV resin when it's all finished, so it's not super critical. That I've got a flexible finish, but I like it. So I'm getting right up next to the glue, the little shoulder that I made there. I want to make sure that this wood is getting glued to both surfaces, since that's an option. And I'm just putting it on pretty thick because I'm not going to put glue on the wood. I'm just going to push it down and let it sit. And I glued myself to my glue bottle. All right. That's as far as I'm taking it tonight. There I am. Because I want to give this glue time to set up and make sure I've got a good solid connection. Now, I do have super glue all over the place, but I don't have it on top of the carbon fiber. So I'm going to leave that sticker backing paper in place. And I'm not putting a ton of pressure in there. I just want to make sure there's no gaps around any of the edges because I want a good solid fit between the two. I'm not going to use any accelerator on this since I am letting it sit overnight. Probably wouldn't hurt anything, but there's no point because I'm not going after it right away. So I'll get the best connection possible by just letting it sit. If you want to see the second half, like, subscribe, notifications, all that fun stuff. I'll be on tomorrow, probably about the same time, to finish it off. I should be able, yeah, I'll get all the shaping and done. I'll do the final little bit off camera, not live, because essentially all I'm going to be doing is applying the UV resin and then sticking it into the UV little bath nail polish curing thing. But yeah, come in tomorrow or watch it again later on. Don't forget to follow me if you don't mind. I would appreciate it. I am going to start trying to do more on YouTube, whether it's lives or actually going through and editing videos. So please follow, like, all that fun stuff. Like, subscribe, notification bell. I don't do YouTube very much. I forget my wording. Also, check out my webpage. It's got links to all my other social media, um, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Handmade by Brandon. So you can find me there. I'm even on TikTok if you want to find me there. Yeah, so that's it for tonight. Definitely appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you have any suggestions on future videos that you'd like to see, any techniques that you'd like to see me demonstrate with making rings, leave a comment. Feel free to message me. Mostly leave it in the comments. That's going to be the best way. I do have a ring making group on Facebook. It's called Wood Ring Makers. So if you're interested in learning how to make rings, there's a bunch of great people in there that are always willing to help and answer questions as well. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and thanks for playing. Bye.